Trump's war on drugs on the side of drugs,
Wigan's golden erection.
and the Japanese people's princess.
All this and more on this week's episode of New Sensation.
Hello and welcome back to New Sensation, the show where we bring you the weirdest and wildest stories from around the world of the week that was. And speaking of around the world, we're back in another international edition. My goodness, how exciting. Chris, where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you, Matty, from the Caribbean Sea, the middle of nowhere, but it is a lovely middle of nowhere. We've just been in Costa Rica, and we're on our way to a place called Cox and Hole in Honduras. So, if that
You've been
isn't the
there a
most
few
New
times.
Sensation
That's,
place,
you're a frequent flyer to Cox and Hull. Um,
that came up on my Wrapped. Actually, I think someone else must have been using my account. Of course, it is Wrapped week as well, Matty.
It is. And what a wrapped week it's been for us. I mean, obviously, it's the first time that New Sensation has been included on Spotify's lineup. And a few people did message us to let us know that we'd cracked their top five podcasts.
Yeah, it's like I've seen other posts from creators being along the lines of, "Oh, I can't believe that we're this number of people watch us like this. We're in this many people's top 1%." And we're just like, multiple people we know said they listen to our show.
Yeah, shout out Alex, my cousin James,
Go
Lewis.
on. Go on, Angus. Get his name in there.
Get his name
Um,
in there.
yeah, we are very grateful, nonetheless. But yeah, the international setup is going pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried this out a couple of times. Last time it was me who was abroad. I called you from the west coast of France. I called you from the Amalfi Coast a couple of times. We're used to this now. And of course, this isn't the first time that we've done this as a sort of like pan-Atlantic situation. Long-time listeners, perhaps people whose Spotify Wrapped we've invaded, remember my interview with the boys from the Tuna Bomber,
Indeed.
who are in New York. So
We're
this
quickly becoming the divorced parents of podcasting, and this podcast is really our spoiled son.
It really is. It really is. We treat it to holidays all over just to try and beat the other one's record. But Chris, I mean, since we're talking about, jet setting all over the world, it should be known that if you want to keep up with us, no matter where you are, the best way to do that is through our internationally recognized and followed social media accounts. Our Instagram at New Sensation and our TikTok at New Sensation Pod. But if they've got recommendation for us for a story, where should they go?
Please get in touch, guys, because we are lonely, we are desperate. We just love to hear from as many of you as we can, and the right place to do that is email. So our email account is newsensationpod@gmail.com. Matty, that's
NewSensationPod at gmail.com. Beautiful. We've mastered the fine art of plugging ourselves.
but I beg your pardon.
Speaking of a man who loves to plug himself,
Oh,
and speaking
too
of
much
going
information.
across the Atlantic, Chris, our first story does take us not just to our favorite spot in the Oval Office, but to Central America, and not far from where you are now.
Oh.
That's right, it's the big story this week coming out of Honduras.
Ooh.
If you're not massively up to date on Honduras, you probably missed a good few years of the highest crime rates in the world. But this past week, Trump's war on drugs took a real interesting turn when he pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez, the former president of Honduras, and the man alleged to have created a cocaine superhighway to the United States.
So when Trump said he was doing the war on drugs, he didn't mean he could murder a line of coke.
I think it always meant that deep down. I mean, hey man, New York in the 80s.
All I'm
But
saying.
is all I'm saying. All of this comes amid a hotly contested election in Honduras, where Trump's presence really does loom quite large. I mean, obviously, the man who has now plastered his face onto the U.S. Department of Peace, was it?
The
Do you know
Department
what I
of
mean? No, no,
Oh,
not the department. It's like the peace building. They've got like a
is
peace
that the one
building.
where they toke up to do a bit of conflict resolution?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the
They,
Ministry of Peace or something.
yeah, they've plastered J. Trump above the top of it.
Right.
Which he's also trying to do with the Washington Commanders Stadium, which is currently named after Bobby Kennedy. So would be quite the person to take the name from. Now, Hernandez, who led Honduras from 2014 to 2021, and we'll get to why that's very interesting in just a moment,
Hmm.
had been sentenced to 45 years in prison on drug trafficking charges. That's right. Now, while his brother Juan Antonio, or Tony, hey, it's Tony Hernandez.
He's the fun
Um,
brother.
He's the, he really is. While he'd been sentenced to life in the US in 2021 for smuggling just a smidgen of 185 tons of cocaine into the US.
Whoa.
Yeah, big numbers. The biggest numbers. No one's smuggling more tons than our boy Tony. Hernandez wouldn't actually be extradited until the following year, 2022, after which point he had no longer been in office. So he was eventually sentenced in 2024. Now, the sentencing of the brothers already covered both Trump and Biden's administrations. But the case was actually a case 9 years in the making, with the
Hmm.
documents that were unsealed in 2019 to go after Hernandez actually coming from 2015. So what we're dealing with here is that 2015 to 2024 9 year cycle. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's kind of important to what Trump's whole argument has been. Because Trump is framing the man who allegedly bragged about stuffing the drugs right up the noses of the gringos.
Damn.
Yeah, he's not holding back.
Direct marketing. Yeah. Whoa.
Allegedly said it. Would be cold if he did. Trump's trying to frame him as the victim of a setup. He said the people of Honduras really thought he was set up, and it was a terrible thing. He was the president of the country, and they basically said he was a drug dealer because he was the president of the country. And I looked at the facts and I agreed with them. Now,
Trump's way ahead of his time in terms of lying technique. Like,
yeah.
still nobody has picked up the good old. Many people are saying this, and it is a terrible thing.
Many people are saying, and they're very mad about it, and I agree with them. It's like he doesn't say anything, but somehow manages to overturn everything. The finger of blame in this setup falls firmly on the Biden administration, at least according to Trump, which is
Oh,
echoing Hernandez's own claims, which he wrote to the president back in October, where he said his conviction was not for any wrongdoing, but for political reasons. Which all of this thing of Trump blaming Biden, bearing in mind that this process started under Trump's administration, seems a little hypocritical. But speaking
mm.
of sort of political reasons, what better than an election the president is already meddling in? So while Hernandez broke the country's single term rule back in this was back in I think 2017 after a court struck down the constitutional ban on re-election, Honduras's current president Xiomara Castro is sticking to the single term rule. So what we're seeing is a whole new slate of candidates. Leaving her finance minister, Rixie Moncada to represent the left-wing ruling party. Now, Trump has already called Moncada a communist and claimed that a victory for her and the Libre Party would hand the country over to Maduro and his narco terrorists. Oh,
Whoa.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Because
For
everything Trump has said about Hernandez actually sounds more like his approach to Maduro and Venezuela, including his $50 million bounty on the man.
so we're all on the same page. Is it Moncada? Is Moncada a communist? Because there are
Um,
some in Latin America, I suppose.
there are some, I think, based on what I can understand, not a communist. Left
Right.
wing, but not a communist. But we're
Yeah.
going to soon realize that everyone gets called a communist by Trump in this, bar one person.
So
Uh,
what you're saying is it may be Matty, but not Matty's grandma.
Maybe Matty or not Matty's grandma, absolutely. On the Matty to Matty's grandma scale. But even then, I mean, she eventually stopped being a communist. So it is confusing, though, when you hear President Castro's finance minister, you're assuming that this is some type of Cuban persuasion here. But
Hmm.
no, there's Xiomara Castro, who is now stepping aside, letting her finance minister run for their party. But there's more people to introduce because.
Ooh.
Um, who is Trump's pick to lead Honduras? Do you know, Chris? Are you keeping up with the Honduras election?
I
Um,
I don't know. I was afraid that they'd be waiting for me at port when I got there if I if I said so. I can't say.
well, it might get tasty. So Trump's pick is Nasri Tito Asfura, which
That's
is
a
an
lot of
interesting nickname.
it's a lot of big names there.
What a big
It's
name.
like Adolf Hitler Unona who just won the election in Not comparing Sami Nasri to Adolf Hitler, of course.
No.
Tito's a different story, though.
It's not even spelt like Samir Nasri either. It's
Oh,
just like everyone who has an appreciation for like Barclays man hears Nasri and just goes, the techie Arsenal midfielder who jumped ship to City and never quite played to the same standard. Crazy.
yeah. They said he was dead.
So Tito Asfora is an ally of Hernandez. So is this Honduras like Honduras's government versus Trump and Hernandez? Not quite, because there's one more person in this story, and that's Salvador Nasrallah. Now, he was President Castro's VP before breaking off from the party to lead his own run at the presidency. Trump called him a borderline communist, so more towards just left of me, who he's only there to split the vote. But he's done more than split it. About midday Monday, there was an error with the virtual vote count, though the manual count continued. At the point of the effective pause, Nasri Asfoura had 39.91% of the vote, and right behind him on 39.89% of the vote, Nasrallah. By Tuesday, when the vote finally got going again, Nasrallah had actually taken a narrow lead, and this has remained the
Ooh.
case up to the point of recording now. This is on a Thursday. There has been another vote freeze. The system crashed again, this time at 80% of votes come in. And I think there's about a 20,000 vote lead from Nasrallah. It's so tight. It is so tight. Now, when you hear these things about, okay, so you've got the Trump candidate, you've got the left wing candidate, and you've got this guy in the middle who's sort of seen as like the almost the middle ground between two poles that I think people are a little bit thrown by.
Mm.
Um, the whole thing about then votes getting frozen and things not being counted becomes quite scary because we're dealing with serious things here. And it is a familiar ground for Honduras because in 2017, when Hernandez went for that second term, which was like, a breaking of a constitutional rule, and we had all this court case and everything, the vote was delayed by a blackout. Which led to accusations that Hernandez was tampering with votes. This all led to protests where, as always seems to happen whenever I talk about protests on this show, dozens of people were killed. It was horrific. And in that moment, Nasrallah missed out on the presidency. So he's on the cusp again. But this time it's the other side complaining about potential tampering, with Trump saying that if the electoral officials were trying to change the result, there will be hell to pay. Now, what this
Not just talking about his hairpiece.
yeah. What this means should Nasrallah win, and considering Trump's aggression towards Venezuela, I mean, we talked about Maduro for a second there before, which has already led to a string of deadly attacks by the US Navy, which are currently being investigated for potential war crimes.
Mm.
We will just have to wait and see, because if we see further aggression from the US and Honduras, it could be quite interesting. But here's the extra note. Why is it that Trump has completely pivoted? Is it just that he's trying to stop a potential Maduro ally or anything like this? Potentially. But there's another theory that is abound. And that is because off the coast of Honduras sits Roatan, which is the island home of the city of Prospera, a name which might be familiar to some people, because Prospera is a special economic zone with 5% income tax, 1% corporation tax, and is a place where new businesses can be set up super easily. It's
This is literally where I'm going, Matty.
you're going to Roatan?
Yeah.
Dude, check out Prospera. So very popular among tech millionaires and billionaires and budding news anchor Chris Patel.
Come on. I will never in this industry be a millionaire or a billionaire.
No. Until you see Prospera and go, this looks pretty
Oh,
nice. This looks pretty
yeah.
nice. But President Castro has called for the abolishment of this zone, and it says it's an affront to the nation's sovereignty. A lot of people point to the fact that, the whole thing of banana republics and,
Yeah.
American meddling in Central America, it brings about a lot of ideas about that. But do you know where else, Chris, is popular with tech millionaires, billionaires, and budding journalists? Trump's White
Uh,
House.
oh, yeah.
So it's just worth considering when you think about what interests are at play in terms of who leads Honduras and what their view is on the future of American involvement in the region. But Chris, speaking of the States, this is a pretty mental story for us fans of infomercials. Of course, a big contingent of our base.
Indeed, there is, Matty. I mean, I think that you kind of, if you've been born 15 years earlier, you might have fallen into the world of infomercials. And I still believe, despite that previous story, Matty, in the power of the average man or woman or person to change something in politics,
Okay.
to rise through the ranks, and take political office, even if they are a D-list celebrity. Um,
You saying there's a chance, Chris? Are you saying there's a chance? It could be me
so
and you.
when we make the D list, I'm sure we'll get a call. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that the man from SlapChop and ShamWow infomercials is running for Congress in Texas. You've probably, if you're from the US, you'll know this guy. If you're not, stop having a boring tuna, stop having a boring life. You're gonna love my nuts. All.
I must say, I
It's a
think the
very
slap shop is a
memorable one.
brilliant invention. Before we get onto the fact that this is absolutely batshit crazy, this story, the slap shop, as someone who is like not the biggest fan of like prepping a meal, I was always enthralled by the idea of just being able to go, ah!
Yeah, you don't need to have like the chef's touch or anything. You just,
And I certainly do not have the chef's touch.
you don't. But yeah, I think it's probably second only to Flex Tape in terms of infomercials that have caught the internet by storm,
Oh
which is
yeah.
probably a discarded Watch Mojo episode. But um, yeah, it's one of the weirdest career paths from this guy, offer Vince Shlomi, which sounds like you're offering a guy named Vince a delicious sausage treat.
Or
But
something else, in fact.
yeah. He's had a bit of a weird one. So he looks like the live action version of Mo from The Simpsons. We'll link him in the description.
There is a most slack about the guy, it's true.
Yeah. But he's running as a Republican, who are our favorite people to cover on this show,
Friends of the show, friends of the
friends
show.
of the show. And he's looking, Matty, to destroy wokeism,
Ah, about time.
which actually one of our fans this week, Lee Twamley, got in touch to talk about destroying wokeism. If you go to, I think it's episode 17, you'll
Oh, it's a
see
long way back.
he's he's left a comment asking to meet. I can only assume that will be, with the best of intentions.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
Lee, we're going to have to politely decline.
Lee Twomley, who, for those who haven't caught up, convicted people smuggler Lee Twomley,
Yes,
who is the guy who basically spent an evening going around Manchester putting up Union Jacks, because that's exactly the kind of, pillars of our
yeah.
civilization that we turn to in our hours of need.
And we're
Uh,
both quite happy in the locations that we're in. We don't really want to be smuggled anywhere.
no, we're all
But
right.
Lee, keep listening. But yeah, he's offer Vince Shlomi, who I think, yeah, Shlomi, is looking to destroy wokeism. And so basically, Matty explained the slap chop. Kitchen gadget, you put all your ingredients in, slap it, and it's got like blades and it cuts it all up, and you can just keep slapping it, get smaller and smaller. The ShamWow is like half chamois, half towel. You can
Hmm.
use it to like mop things up, to wax your car, etc. But Shlomi is he's not even safe in the world of infomercials because Billy Mays, the giant of infomercials,
Very
has called him
true.
a one-hit wonder. But in the words of Ice
Ooh.
Spice, no, wait, now two-hit wonder, ra ra ra.
I mean, to be fair, Shlomi's just been called. He's not even the fart in this instance. Surely he thinks he's the
He's
shit, and
not
he's not
even the
even the
fun.
fart.
Well, actually, the that scatological humor plays a big part in his story.
Okay.
When he fell into infomercials when he was trying to market a comedy movie that he'd written, and the New York Times reviewed it as a monument to ineptitude and self-delusion.
New sensation.
That was a slam dunk.
Thank you.
Weirdly enough, that film stars cinema giant Michael Clark Duncan as gay virgin. Um, and,
What's going on?
he's also got Slash, the rock guitarist,
Yeah,
and Shlomi
unbelievable.
also directed another movie in 2013, which starred Adrian Brody, Lindsay Lohan, and Rob Schneider.
How?
I
How?
think maybe it's because he used to be a Scientologist that he's got these contacts. Not
Ah,
claiming that these people are Scientologists, but they used to have their fingers in a
it
lot of
helps.
pies. But he walked away from the cult after that and also tried to sue them. Yeah, he's had a lot of legal troubles, which we'll get onto. The seat in Congress that he's currently going for, which is Texas's 31st congressional district, is currently held by a Republican mainstay, so Representative John Carter, who's
Of
84.
Mars?
I beg your
Is this
pardon.
the Mars congressional district?
Wait. Oh, yeah. because when I was looking up John Carter, I found there was a film called John Carter
John
about
Carter,
Mars.
based off the comic books and books. Yeah, John
I
Carter.
yeah, I'm so confused why they chose
This
that
is
very
such a niche
uncatchy name.
reference. I'm so sorry.
But our listeners have had to suffer through Ice Spice's take
Yeah.
on the
If
Republicans.
you're of a certain age, which I appear to be of, but I'm
You're
about 50 years away. If you're of my
45.
Spotify listening age, you'll get my John Carter of Mars joke just then. If you're actually 22, you'll.
Most performative day of the year, everyone. No, Shlomi says about his opponent, who has served for 2 decades and is running for re-election, so he could be tough to beat. That I'm sure he's done some good things, but I think what's good about me is I always think outside the box, and we'll get onto that as well because
Oh boy.
I would put some of those thoughts back in the box. He says, "I'm 61. Sometimes I get a little tired, but if he does step down, maybe he'll sponsor me or support me." Uh, but in the same breath as saying he wants to destroy wokeism, he also says he wants to stop the political infighting. So maybe, stop using words like destroy.
Mm.
He says wokeism is based on misinformation or false ideas in order to control people, and says it creates hate and fear. Speaking of creating hate and fear, the pinned video on his YouTube is a parody of Ghostbusters called Wokebusters, which
Oh God.
features a male actor in a dress leering at children and black characters stealing jobs from white characters. So, what were you saying about hate and
Bigotry.
fear?
Bigotry. It's just blatant bigotry. Who are you going to call? Not them.
Well,
Like,
well, he can explain because he's got nearly 200,000 YouTube subs, but that video only has 31,000 views. But he explains this in the description. Millions of views on other platforms, but not viral here because they know it helps deprogram people.
shut up, man. It's like, is that
I've
our
never felt more
excuse?
deprogrammed.
This episode of New Sensation has millions of views elsewhere, guys. I promise you.
Yeah, but they know.
They know.
Shlomi says he wants kids to be happy, but surely his suspicion of people, leering at children is a bit rich, considering he wants to put video monitoring systems in schools to feed back to parents what's going on.
Oh, no, 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 no.
I don't
GDPR.
know. I, I don't know if we could expect more than voyeurism from a man whose YouTube channel contains a paywalled video called Supermodels Taking Dump,
You're joking.
which is
You're
from the
joking.
film that has Michael Clark Duncan in.
Okay.
Um, it's,
Of course. It's from the film with Michael Clark Duncan
yeah, yeah. When I've been, on Who Dares Wins in the past, and they've asked me to name Michael Clark Duncan movies. And Shlomi told Time magazine that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was the catalyst for his campaign.
Of course it was. Every
We
asshole who's now running for a Republican seat is like, it's because of Charlie Kirk, which just
yeah,
exposes what a dipshit you are.
yeah. I mean, we carry the flame, Matty.
That song was actually top of my Spotify Wrapped. I shared it 175 times in the last month.
He says that Charlie Kirk is a woke buster. Um, I feel like I have Charlie Kirk's spirit in me,
Sorry.
and or in a sense, or near me. It's drawn to me to do this. I guess I'm becoming the woke buster myself.
Oh, shut up!
I think I'm gonna be the woke buster.
I think I'm gonna be the woke buster now. Dude, slow me, blow me, you know? I'm sick of
Well,
this guy.
he says he still needs to work on the specifics of his campaign.
Yeah, you're damn
Yeah.
right you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start at the bottom and change all of it. But there's a fair bit we don't have time to tell you about, and not just because Zoom limits us to 40 minutes at a time. But he's been in a fight with an alleged prostitute after a 12-hour drinking binge.
Who
He's
among
been
us, you know?
yeah. He's been sued by a model who alleged that he stalked her, emotionally abused her, and asked to buy her eggs.
Like
Which,
it's
when
in
I read
her
that,
ovary eggs.
yeah, when I read that the first time, I thought he meant he was going to pick up a 12 pack from Tesco for her. But no, he wants to buy her actual eggs.
Right.
Ooh, ooh.
Many such
Allegedly.
cases.
Um,
Allegedly. Allegedly.
but if he wants to be an anti-work congressman, I'd say that's a pretty light resume.
Yeah, he's seen as the clean cut candidate. He's going to show up in the
Mm.
white suit and everything.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, talking people who made the jump from the screen to politics, whether that be sort of strange big screen antics, or maybe in fact the small screen itself. There's somebody this week who's really made the headlines, who has a history like that, but I think it's done it on a bit of a bigger scale, quite
Oh, do
literally.
tell.
Yeah, we're talking about Andriy Yermak, he forms a formidable big man little man pairing with Volodymyr Zelensky.
Oh, he's the Wario to the wait. I think Zelensky is a Mario type figure.
He is a Mario type figure. If I was to compare Yermak to anyone, it would probably be Bowser. He towers over Volodymyr Zelensky, and is apparently quite the force. But
Ooh.
this week, well, kind of last Friday, when you're seeing this, it'll be exactly a week. Ukraine's anti-corruption agencies, I think there's two of them, began searching the apartment of Yermak, who is Zelensky's chief of staff. Not very good.
No.
It's further trouble for Zelensky, who is currently preoccupied with the US and Russia's floundering efforts to give the Kremlin a favorable peace deal out of the Ukraine war, all while Europe's biggest powers brace for escalation. It's a little bit tense, and Zelensky's already got enough on his plate. But what's going on then with Yermak, and just who is he? Well, Yermak and Zelensky's pairing predates the president's move into politics, with Yermak serving as the lawyer for Zelensky's production company, having previously been both an intellectual property lawyer and a B movie producer.
No way.
So maybe him and Shlomi have some connections, you know?
I was gonna say that I'm only 3 degrees away from Kevin Bacon. These guys are probably pretty close.
Oh, if only. Now, after a brief stint as Zelensky's foreign policy advisor, Yermak then became his chief of staff. And speaking of peace talks, which seems to be kind of the big news coming out of Ukraine at the moment, Yermak's experience with foreign affairs, combined with his proximity to the president as one of his most trusted advisors, led to him taking charge of the peace negotiations team right back towards the start of the invasion. So Yermak is a notoriously tough negotiator. If you can't tell by the sheer size of him, he can be a scary prospect. He'd
Photo in the
previously
show notes.
photo in the show notes, and every news site on the planet, but photo in the show notes. He had previously brought Commander Valery Zaluzhny to heel. When he had basically been seen as a potential rival to Zelensky's position of power,
Ooh.
especially as the war was ratcheting up and they're thinking, do we need a more experienced military figure here? And the commander was very popular. But Yermak got him on side. However, last month, everything kind of went a bit skew with. The anti-corruption agencies allegedly uncovered a $100 million kickback scheme in Ukraine's energy sector, which you might have heard about. Now, Zelensky, since then, has really had to crack down on corruption. The scheme was based on enforcing these kickback payments for companies to keep their supplier status, with one of the senior figures allegedly involved being businessman Timur Mindik, who is the co-owner of the aforementioned production company, of which Zelensky was in control, and Yermak was the lawyer. Now, this has led to a lot of people sort of saying, well, what is then Zelensky's proximity to this scheme? And there isn't really anything concrete to say that he was. Um,
Right.
it seems that Mindish is kind of in his own sort of territory with this.
Hmm.
But it has ratcheted up this idea that maybe there is further corruption going on within the sort of very influential members in and around the president. So Ukraine's high anti-corruption court ordered Mindic's detention on Monday. I think he's being charged in absentia. I think he's kind of done a bit of a runner. Um, but Yermak is kind of he can't really go anywhere because he's the chief of staff of the president in a country at war. So if they want to search his flat, he's there.
Yeah.
Now, let's make it clear. Timo Mindish is really small fry compared to Andriy Yermak. Like I said, he forms that formidable big man, little man double act that would terrify a League Two defence, and has caused their political opponents to have to sit deep as well. His physical stature really does mirror his political influence. Not only does he sort of loom over Zelensky, but he provides protection in many ways. You know, it's useful to have your big mate stood behind you when you're about to get into the shit. but what this means in sort of a more political practice is that quite often he has drawn the criticism that would otherwise land on the president with his sort of hard-handed negotiations and his almost paranoia in terms of who gets close to the president being criticized more than Volodymyr Zelensky himself. It is believed that Yermak had a network of Telegram channels, which seem to appear in so many of our stories. Uh,
Yeah.
and with these Telegram channels, he poured dirt on his enemies, basically. It's like a distribution line to go, hey, do you know this person did this? And some of these enemies would also find themselves unceremoniously fired from important positions. And he kept those with access to the president at a very low number. It was a tight circle. But Yermak's influence is now fast fading because as they investigate, I think that they took a bunch of laptops, phones, all these different things from his apartment to have a look at. Um,
Yeah.
and I believe they already sacked him this week, so he kind of had to resign, step back. So with that gone, there's now sort of a vacuum there. Ukraine is basically baying for a heavy hand against corruption. So if he is found to be responsible for any misdemeanors, Zelensky will have to come down hard on a man who has been one of his most trusted allies. Now, the head of Nabu's investigating team, which is not to say that they're finding out about Jar Jar Binks and his
Mhm.
relationship with the Jedi, or indeed dealing with any trade negotiations with the Federation. Instead, there is. He said last month at the time of the energy sector scheme that kind of came out, that kickback scheme,
Mm.
that this story isn't about corruption. It's about Ukraine's struggle and fight against corruption, which is a very nice angle for the government to take. I think that's kind of been Zelensky's approach ever since.
AI generated angle.
I don't think so. That's good. It's too good for AI. This is the
Mm.
next chapter of that story, and it may give Zelensky some more room to maneuver by making his right hand a bit more open. But whether it will be as continually steady is a different question. This is the thing. It's like there's a level to which might can sometimes be right, but if you're too clumsily heavy-handed, especially in matters of corruption, oh boy, you can land yourself in some serious trouble. But yeah, meanwhile, Zelensky's secured more financing from places like Ireland. He seems to be doing all right. But this is basically the fall of Ukraine's probably most powerful political weapon of the last few years, and someone who really knew how to play the game.
Well, I mean, might not always make right, Matty, but we know that awards committees are always right.
Oh,
They
always, never
always
wrong, especially in
they
action.
always watch all of the films. Uh, but it's been a great week for fans of dog actors because this week, let's go.
Let's
This
go!
week, a dog has made history by being the first animal ever to be nominated for a major human acting award.
Don't talk
So
about nonsense, you know.
yeah, he didn't even know he was in a film.
He
Pure,
didn't.
yeah, forced diversity,
Awesome, honestly.
DEI.
Why are
I'm
there dogs
voting
in every
against Schleimi.
advert? Why are there dogs in every advert? They did, back in my day, there weren't any dogs around the place. Honestly.
Well, they filmed it all at eye level. So if like dog eye level. So if people are complaining about this, it's the same energy as people who complain about like sign language and services on the TV.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not
absolutely.
deaf.
We
But
know! We know!
it's Indy the dog, who's a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever, and a very cute one at that. We'll link him in the show
Adorable.
notes. He's been nominated for an Astra Award for Best Performance in a Horror or Thriller, which is the movie Good Boy. I couldn't find a 100% authoritative source, I should say, saying it was the first time an animal's been nominated for a human acting award, but a few disreputable sources were saying it, and I couldn't find any other examples.
Yeah,
So,
I wonder, was there not something about the dog in The Artist about 15 years ago? I don't know who was
yeah, I mean,
nominated, but there was a lot
there's
made
been
about the dog.
quite a few animals that have kind of been in Oscar conversations. I mean, even Bart the bear even appeared at the Oscars, but they were not either they were recipients of dog awards or like animal awards, like the oh, what's it called? It's called like the Paw D'Or or something.
The
It's
portal.
it's the
The
it's the
golden
animal version of
ball.
the yeah at Cannes. But Yeah, no, this is the first time that, as far as I can tell, that an animal's got a human award. So, as we say, utter woke nonsense. He's been nominated alongside such stars as Ethan Hawke, Sally Hawkins, and Alison Brie. So I'd be pissed off.
I mean, they've all achieved a lot in their careers. I think they can like
Yes,
take it on the chin.
it's like when the Merit Cup makes it right. It makes its way around the year, and it gets the kid that eats glue, and you're just like,
Ah,
right, it's time.
game's gone. Although
Yeah.
you have to think if you're Alison Brie, you're sort of having like a weird thought. It's like this feels like a community bit. Like she feels
Yeah,
like she's
well,
trapped.
there is literally a bit in Community where they give a degree to a dog.
Yes, they do. It's like, did you really give a degree to a dog?
In Good Boy, Indy stars as the lead role in the lead role as himself. And the premise is that Indy lives with his owner in a cabin in the woods, and he's trying to save his owner from supernatural forces. Are you familiar with this movie, Matty?
I am
You're the
familiar with
film
this
buff
movie.
among us.
Yeah, as soon as you brought up the horror and thriller thing, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen like the posters and a few of the trailers and stuff. It's
Yeah.
quite the feat because they also had to make it so that the dog wouldn't actually be freaked out.
Yeah, absolutely. So they had to do a kind of it really involved a lot of just shouting random words at Indy to get a reaction. They weren't trying to scare him, they were more trying to make him like cock his head inquisitively. So they shout things like chicken and pheasant, which
Best.
I mean, if you shout chicken at my dog, he like spins around in circles and starts licking the island. So
Time to show.
maybe not the best idea. But Indy had no prior acting training. He's the director Ben Leonberg's dog. So he's Hollywood's latest Nepo baby. I'm really not a fan. And Leonberg had submitted a entry starring Indy to an online film competition, and Indy earned a nomination for Best Actor for that too. I think he might have won Best
Bro,
Actor. But Leonberg said he thought Indy would be good at acting because of his intense, unblinking stare.
it's good. It's useful, you
It
know?
is a good stare. Leonberg was inspired by a raft of other dog movies, Air Bud, which obviously has the famous basketball
But
playing dog.
there's no rule saying a dog can't win an acting award. It's true.
Where Rin Tin Tin, who was one of the famous earliest famous dog movies, and Robert Eggers' The Witch, which stars a goat called Black Phillip.
Well, what's quite yeah, Black Phillip, incredible performance by the goat, the goat. But it
The
must
goat.
also be said that like I was as soon as you said that long unblinking stare, I was going to bring up Robert Eggers, because
Yeah,
his films are chock full of long close-ups, steadily zooming in on someone's unblinking face as they stare at some like horrifying thing. It's one of his favorite things. He's one of the go-to. If you want to say, oh, they don't like blinking on camera, Eggers is the person who you can go to. And as soon as I was like, yeah, he's got to be an influence on the long
yeah.
unblinking stare of our best boy here. Come on.
And there's that trope as well of, animals seeing the ghost before humans do. So that really
Mm.
all comes together in, I feel like I'm advertising the movie. I've not seen it. It might be crap, but the trailer looks decent.
The dog's
Um,
good.
the dog's good. Yeah, see for the dog, if nothing else. But speaking of Black Phillip from Robert Eggers' The Witch, Charlie the goat, who played Black Phillip, was so badly behaved that he hospitalized co-star Ralph Ineson 3 times.
3 times.
3 times.
Also, Ralph Ineson's a big lad. Like,
Yeah, don't mess
uh,
with Black Phillip.
no mess with Black Phillip. Gosh.
I
Ralph
can't
Ineson's
really take.
famed for playing hard characters.
I'm sure it's a scary movie, but I can't really take seriously any antagonist called Philip.
I don't think he's necessarily like the full antagonist in The Bitch.
Oh, well, the viewers watch for yourselves. It might be crap. I don't know. Matty recommended it.
It's Robert
Um,
Eggers. He's great. He's the guy who did
yeah,
The Lighthouse and The Northman and Nosferatu.
yeah, that's a good resume.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It's
if
a
you're here,
decent
then
resume. Decent resume.
who's flickering the lights?
Nosferatu. That was
Film
me getting
website
a
in
lighting setup done earlier today for this Zoom recording.
Film website IndieWire called Good Boy one of the best horror films so far this year, and said Indy was one of the most emotive actors of his generation, regardless of species. And
Brutal.
if you see any clips from the film, you'll realize that even as we said, there's a bit of movie magic going on. Indy really is good at what he does, or I guess I should say the camera team and the director
And the
are good at
trailers,
getting
yeah, incredible.
kind of the most expressive faces out of Indy. This is the thing, Indy's not had any formal acting training. Some animals do go through training.
Hmm.
Um, Indy has never. He's just a very starey dog.
can we bring back more things with like animals in like movie roles, especially ones that talk to each other, like Homeward Bound and like Look Who's Talking Now?
That
That's
is
my
my
shit, man.
That's my biggest ick in a movie. I can like I think I watched a Garfield live action where their just mouths are moving. It was like stop.
Oh yeah. No, but it's like like with like Look Who's Talking Now. It's and I think with Homeward Bound as well. They don't actually. How much do they move their mouths at all? I know Homeward Bound they do. I'm getting lost. Right, keep going.
We're getting lost in the sauce.
Getting lost in the source of great
Indy,
animal movies.
I wouldn't blame Indy for getting lost in the sauce and going on, a bender of pedigree dentist sticks because he also won the Howl of Fame award at South by Southwest Festival for his
Oh,
performance.
brilliant.
Leonberg, one of the pieces of movie magic is to make sure that the room was well air conditioned so Indy wouldn't pant. Because he said that if Indy were panting, he'd look like a mouth breathing idiot, which is no way to talk about the talent, really.
I know it's just disgraceful. Where's SAG when you
No.
need them?
Yeah, yeah. Wag maybe Wag AFTRA.
Ah, very good. Very
Come
good.
on. And the his producer and wife, Carrie Fisher. Not Carrie Fisher, the
Not
late,
Carrie Fisher, yeah, but
not Carrie,
Carrie.
Carrie Fisher. Yeah, welcome back, Trisha Paytas. But said when Indy has a neutral expression, he's Ryan Gosling in Drive. When Indy has a panting expression, he's Ryan Gosling in Barbie.
Oh, okay.
Which just, smacks of a proud mom, doesn't it?
It
Just
really does. It
overselling her son's
really
achievements. Um, but what does the future hold for Indy? Well, Ben Leonberg told Entertainment Weekly that Indy's retired, but if the right dog food brand wants to make a Super Bowl commercial, we'll certainly entertain it. So someone call Laura Loomer.
does. Oh dear. Oh dear. Is it Laura Loom he's worried about? Or is it Kristi Noem? Which one is the one who's
Laura Loomer's the one who got sponsored to eat the dog food.
yeah, it's Kristi Noem who shot her dogs, right?
Oh, I was thinking that was more out of the Lauren Boebert playbook, but allegedly.
Allegedly.
No, I'm sure you're right. We'll do a cheeky fact check in the description
What did you
because
fact check?
we are a very transparent pair.
Although, if I'm right, South Park did feature her shooting dogs multiple times.
Oh,
Anyway, speaking of Laura Loomer, there are many people who could go for the title of People's Princess. Um, and for the Japanese imperial family, they find themselves at a crossroads with its path of succession on the verge of a radical change. And you could really put it down to their people's princess, Princess Aiko, who turned 24 on Monday. Now, the male-only succession law currently prevents Aiko from taking her father's place as emperor. And bear in mind that like she is doing a lot of these royal duties. She actually represented her father on her first solo visit to Laos back in November. So she's really ratcheting up her involvement.
hmm.
Now, as her presence and popularity has grown, so too have the calls for the law to change. Now, parliamentarians have been continually sent comics by cartoonist Yoshinori Kobayashi pushing for the change. One of the big fans of Aiko. While others have taken to newer forms of media, like 62-year-old Ikuku Yamazaki, um, who has taken her campaign for a new succession based on the emperor's first child, regardless of gender, to social media. She
Oh,
said that the succession system conveys the Japanese mindset regarding gender issues, and that I expect having a female monarch would dramatically improve women's status in Japan. But Chris, I'm
which
sure.
side of this issue do you reckon Senai Takaichi falls on?
Well, that's a great point, Chris, because it's exactly what I was thinking.
Thank you.
You're right to ask that for anyone who is a friend of the show, and not in the denigrating way that we refer to racists, bigots, and all sorts of other things, but more in the way that we refer to Chris's dog and people who listen to this podcast. You'll know Sanai Takaichi as the first female PM of Japan, covered her in depth. We also covered some of her controversies, which Aiko and the Emperor sit kind of on the opposite side of, especially in terms of Japan's uh, history and how it
Hmm.
recalls World War II and what it does with that history. And Aiko was very popular. She was part of the royal tour to Nagasaki and I think to Hiroshima as well. And people who include, I saw on the Associated Press, one of the people who had survived the nuclear bomb is a particularly big fan of Aiko and says that she is this very stabilizing presence. But unlike Takaichi, who has kind of broken the mold by being the first ever, um, Aiko wouldn't be the country's first female monarch because it used to be a thing and now it's not. So she ruled between their last female monarch ruled between 1762 and 1770. So this is the 18th century we're talking about here. Long time ago. But the male only rule has been in place since 1889 and was actually reinforced in their post-war constitution in 1947. Um,
Right.
but yeah, where would Takaichi sit? We know that she sits on the opposite side of Aiko's aisle when it comes to how Japan remembers its war dead and its actions during the Second World War and other wars. But Takaichi actually reflects the attitude put forward by what was a conservative-dominated expert panel a couple of years ago, back in 2022, which basically called for the rule to stay. And even proposed adopting male descendants from defunct distant family branches rather than a woman.
Crazy.
So like that, she kind of leans much more to that side. She's not a fan of the rule changes because she's
Mm.
deeply socially conservative. It's a bit like when people thought that she compares herself a lot to Margaret Thatcher. You think, oh, Margaret Thatcher, she's a woman as a PM. Surely that would do a lot for women's place in society and other different things. You ask a lot of people involved in the feminist movements of the UK in the 1980s, and they would tell you that it was the opposite. So,
Yeah. Florence Nightingale, obviously a kind of giant of medicine, always used to complain about women and told people she wished that she was a man because she felt men got things done.
this is the thing, man. Sometimes you have these icons, and it really turns out that they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
And
Never
this is
meet Florence Nightingale is the
yeah. This is a Mary C. Cole podcast. Now, not only did that conservative panel in 2022 talk about keeping the rule and adopting these further descendants, um, all this was sort of seen as like a sort of unrealistic prospect. But they also said that there should be an allowance made for female members of the royal family who marry commoners to keep their royal titles, which is currently not allowed. So that would
right.
basically solve the issue that they have created. Because if they're saying, "Oh, have defunct members of the defunct branches," it's like, well, how does that work? They're not royals. Or they're saying, "Let's just make sure that the women keep their royal titles even when they marry out the family," and it basically just means that the pool becomes much, much bigger. But still no women. Still no women.
Do
Absolutely
we
no.
have a chance, Matty?
I cannot stress enough how far removed our chances are, and yet somehow our claim is better than Ico's
Ah,
by
yeah.
quite a
How
bit.
relaxed is his law?
Yeah, I mean, how relaxed are they willing to make the law is the big question. But this is the thing: why is there a mad dash now? It isn't just because it was Aiko's birthday this week, although happy birthday, Princess Aiko.
Happy birthday.
Nor is it just her popularity, but it is also the fact the family is in no position to pick and choose. So there might be a chance here, Chris.
Ooh.
There are currently only 16 members of the official royal family, down from 30 just 3 decades ago. So losing them at much more of a rate than gaining. With the emperor's only two potential younger heirs being his 60-year-old brother Akishino and Akishino's son Hisahito. But fret not, because there is also another alternative, which is the emperor's 90-year-old uncle, Uncle Hitachi, who was his father, the former emperor's brother. So that's it. Now you've got basically got three options there. But before Hisahito was born in 2005, this is the emperor's nephew, the government had proposed to allow a female monarch, but after Hisahito's birth, they basically allowed nationalists to scrap it because it's like, well, no, we've got a viable male heir now. The whole thing really boils down to a broader conversation about Japan's aging population and how its traditions fit in what is an ever-changing world. Last year, the United Nations Women's Rights Committee urged Japan to allow a female emperor, stating that not doing so hindered gender equality, something that the Japanese government dismissed as regrettable and inappropriate. When I'd argue that what's regrettable and inappropriate is clinging steadfast to a rule that isn't actually that deeply rooted in tradition. It came in 1889. Like,
Yeah, you call that a tradition?
yeah, like you had female emperors. You can have them again, especially when they're really nice and everyone likes them. But in a world without concubines to proliferate the royal line, Chris, and bear in mind this royal line is now entirely dependent on Hizuhito and his potential wife's ability to make a male heir, so completely up in the air. The only viable option for the next emperors are Zoomers. Maybe it's time to move with the new generation and give the People's Princess a chance.
I mean, I wish Princess Aiko all the best. I hope the law is relaxed. I do, but I think that even if it isn't, in her role, she will still be an icon for many. Something that the people can really see and look as a statuesque figure, and flock to.
Oh, I just figured out where you're going with this.
This week I've been working on my kind of segue game, headline game, but sometimes we just can't do better than the competition, Matty. Especially when it's locals praise erection of 20-foot tall naked statue. Um, and
Brilliant.
for the avoidance of doubt, the statue is very flaccid. So they like that it was put up. And this is in Wigan, which is a town in Greater Manchester, for those who are not familiar. And it's in a giant naked golden man in the style of Michelangelo's David.
But just in Wigan.
Just in Wigan, yeah,
Is he
that
is he clinging on to like a pie bar, a Wigan kebab, where you've got like two slices of bread smushed around a pie?
that would be great. But no, he's got he was erected completely by himself. He did it all on his own, and
Oh,
he's
good
not
for
holding on to
him.
anything. Um,
No tablets or
but,
anything? Is it?
but for those of you who've never been to Wigan, Matty, would you say it's like the Florence streets where Michelangelo's David lives?
Absolutely. I would say that if you were to talk about what is the Florence of the North, you'd say Wigan. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And Florence doesn't have what Wigan has that Florence doesn't have is a statue that's name is Golden Balls. Or at least this is the statue's nickname. And it was originally removed from its spot outside a vintage shop in 2022 when neighbors complained.
Oh, you
Uh,
have to ruin everything, don't you? Honestly.
I, to be honest, I think I'm surprised that and disappointed at Wiganites. I can't remember what people from Wigan are called,
The
but
Wiganese.
yeah, the Wiganese people,
Yeah, well, I know
OMU Wig.
Wiganese is the specific dialect of Wigan, um,
Yeah.
that is kind of unique.
Wiganese, and we're not talking about Chet Hanks, but
Incredible,
but
incredible.
the shop's owner Grant Adamson said customers were heartbroken when the statue had to be removed just 6 months after it was put up. But he's brought it back following a Facebook campaign because he wants to spread Christmas cheer, presumably with two big golden baubles. So
Um,
A- Adamson said, people are asking me, always asking me when he's coming back. So I decided to bring him out for Christmas. And link in the show notes, we will put the picture of Golden Balls, meant to depict a Roman gladiator and was actually used to advertise the movie Gladiator.
wow.
I don't know why they chose, Wigan of all places.
Wigan love Russell Crowe, man. What can I say? And
Yeah,
it's the Florence of the North, so they might be interested in
the
ancient
Florence of the
Rome,
North.
you
Here's another picture which we'll link of the statue being transported through Wigan.
know? On a semi.
Uh, it shares similarities for fans of, Northwestern statues with Liverpool Resurgent, which was built by Jacob Epstein in 1956.
No
And
relation.
yeah, yeah, well, much has been said about the about the sculptor Jacob Epstein.
Yeah,
But
and again, it should be noted, link in the show notes, but Liverpool Resurgent, we're not talking about a particularly firm site. When we talk about erection of statues, we're very much referring to them being put up because this statue is unfortunate, unfortunate.
yeah,
Rather
it's
like the
it's
history of
cold.
the city of Liverpool. It's
It's cold. And I thought you were going to say, and speaking of Liverpool Resurgent, we're not talking about their heroic 1-all draw against Sunderland. But
no, brilliant.
yeah, no. My brother, I'm a United, me and Matty United fans. My brother's a Liverpool fan, and I'm enjoying the coping and the seething of them doing as well as well and even worse than we are.
You're tempting fate because we're recording this on Thursday. United do play tonight. People will be
True.
listening to this Friday morning going, "You just lost at home to West Ham." So
Yeah, you guys lost. 5-0 to it. No.
to a nine-man West Ham at home.
Well, back to Liverpool resurgent, because I know that's where you all wanted the conversation to go. Was intended to represent Liverpool's resurgence following World War II. But the naked statue is attached to a department store called Lewis's. So locals quickly nicknamed it Dickie Lewis,
Brilliant.
which I think is a testament to the people of Liverpool. One Facebook commenter I saw said that Golden Balls, which is the statue in Wigan, looks like Donald Trump had a go at Dickie Lewis.
Brilliant.
The jury's out,
Absolutely.
Matty, on whether Golden Balls will be allowed to stay, though. As a spokesperson from Wigan Council, you Killjoys, said, "We're aware that a large sorry, we're aware that a large statue has been brought on land in Darlington, Darlington Street East, Ince, and are assessing whether any consent is needed from the council. But Grant Adamson, our shop owner, has said, I'd love to keep him up. I bet you would."
I bet you would, Grant. Wouldn't we all? And if you want us to keep up the good work on this show, then please, again, follow us on our social medias, Instagram at New Sensation, TikTok at New Sensation Pod. But for now, this has been an international episode of New Sensation, not just in terms of our content, but in terms of Chris joining us midway through a Caribbean holiday. So everyone bow down to the might and fortitude of this man.
Honestly, it's been really difficult. It's been it's been so
Oh, it's
hard.
been so tough. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I've
So
been what's been giving me life has been looking at the temperature in Manchester. Um,
brilliant. Thank you, mate. Brilliant. He has been the ever grinning and scheming and crass and beautiful Chris Patel.
and he's been the one and only Matty Curry.
Thank you for tuning in.